everyone, welcome to this week's Wine Questions video. As you can see, we're in a different location than we normally are. This weekend we're actually, Wine Access is at the Calgary Rocky Mountain Wine and Food Festival, and we're manning a booth here, and Tom is leading some seminars this weekend. So we thought we'd take this week's video on location, and we're going to talk about something very timely to the festival, and that we will be discussing wine festival etiquette, how to conduct yourself while you are tasting and sampling wines. So Tom, why don't you start us off?
Well, it's always a bit tricky when you're at a wine festival like this because you're sort of mixing a good time and a good evening with alcohol, and so it's sort of easy to get carried away and things like that. But if you pace yourself over the course of the day, you should be able to have a great time. Now, a couple of things to remember before you go to a festival like this are a few sort of points of etiquette that are handy to know. One of which is don't wear excessive amounts of perfume or cologne.
Okay.
It's distracting to the other people around you, and you're there to smell wine or sample wine or sort of learn a little bit more about wine. You want to sort of balance your preferences for your perfumes and things like that against sort of the needs of other people and your ability to get the most out of the wines.
Okay.
Another thing to remember is that you are mixing alcohol with your evening. It is very hard to pace yourself for some people, and while I don't want to tell anyone they can't have a good time at a wine tasting like this, there are spittoons. You're under no obligation to finish your glasses.
Sorry, what's a spittoon? People might not know.
There will often be sort of a little bucket. It might be a water pitcher or vase, or even sort of what we sort of call this a spittoon, and that's for kind of spitting excess wine, so you don't have to necessarily swallow the wine, but you can just sort of use it to sort of empty your mouth rather than drinking all that wine.
Okay.
It's also a great place to dump out that excess wine that you don't have to drink.
Okay, good to know. So I guess the key points are don't interfere with other people's tasting experience. You don't have to finish your glass if you hopefully want to moderate your intake so you can get the most out of your day or your evening. What about when you're actually approaching a booth and you have your tickets, you're kind of checking out the wines, you see something you like? What's the best way to sort of approach that?
The best way to approach that is to remember the people generally manning those booths are very knowledgeable about those products. So if you say, for example, if you have questions about the wines, or if you can walk up to the booth and say, hi there, what do you have? What should I try? Where should I go? And they're generally able to help you out. Always at a tasting, you want to try to start with the lighter white wines, go to heavier white wines, then lighter red wines, Some people might say, I'm there to drink red wines. I'm there to drink fortified wines. That's fine. If you're just there to drink beer, that's fine as well. But it's a great place to ask questions. So if you have any questions about the wines or the products being served at those booths, those people will have answers for you, and they can guide you through the process. The last thing you should ever do, and you got to remember these people are going to be working a long shift standing behind the booth answering questions, is just to sort of snake your arm forward and say, fill her up. That's the worst thing you can do.
Yes.
But you want to get the most out of your experience. You paid a lot of money to get in, try these wines, things like that. You want to get the most from the experience, and those people are able to help you do that.
Okay. And something I observe when I come to these shows sometimes is that people are very polite with the people working behind the booths, but they're not always conscious of other visitors and other people tasting. Do you have any advice for when you're at a booth and you want to really be courteous to the people around you?
Yeah, absolutely. When a booth isn't very busy, and that'll sort of happen as time goes on, some areas will be busier than others. If you've got the time and the booth's not very crowded, you can have a lot of time to ask those questions. If it's a little bit busier, the best thing to do is to ask for the wine that you want to try. If you have any questions about it, you can ask it then, and then just sort of step back or step out of the way and allow other people to come through the booth. The last thing you want to come across is someone sort of blocking the whole section, saying, I'm here, I'm at the front, and I want to try as much as I can, but you sort of have to help the process flow along for everybody.
Okay, well, that is the end of our very brief introduction to wine festival etiquette. If you have any questions about anything you've seen today, don't be afraid to get in touch with us. And if you have a wine question, as usual, that's on your mind, you can get in touch with us through Twitter, Facebook, or by email. See you next week.
Thank you.